And I would ask that everyone board members and public and presenters all, be concise in their comments so that we can get through this before 9 o'clock. There will be no designing of projects from the board tonight, I can promise you. All comments about the project should be about the project presented. This is not an opportunity to air neighborhood or personal grievances. If you hear the gavel, you are out of order. And if you persist, you'll be removed from the meeting. Once your request is heard and the board's decision is rendered, you may leave the meeting. However, if you have questions for the staff, please wait until after the meeting is over to ask them, or you may contact staff at the office the following day. Once public testimony and discussion for a particular item is concluded, the members of the board will deliberate and render a decision. Members with a personal or financial interest in any request are required to recuse themselves from voting. All decisions by the Architectural Review Board are final. Any person having a request or certificate of appropriateness denied by the board may appeal that denial to the Montgomery County Circuit Court. Any such appeal may be filed with the Circuit Court within 30 days of the receipt of the notice of the final decision of the board. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have plenty of board members tonight, but it takes 5 votes to pass a motion. Because of the number of board members present, you would like to delay your request, please let us know at the time your request is announced. May I take this opportunity to introduce members of the board. John Hagan, Katie, Sam Youse, Kalia, and Jake Johnson. You know I know your name. Okay, the land use staff, Paula Wade, Ashandra Anderson, Sean Rose, Warren Adams, thank you, Russell Stringer, and Orem Snow. All right. First item of business, Henry and Mary Immler, Old Cloverdale, 812 Cloverdale Road. Well, it's appropriate that you would be the first people to present a project tonight, since you were the first people here. Tell us about your project.
I've got a pecan tree that's been in our yard forever, and it's lost limbs in the past, but generally 2 to 4 inches. And recently, it lost a very, very large limb, and luckily, it didn't land on anything. But the tree is leaning, it's a very tall tree, and it's leaning toward the house, and that up there is one of the holes that's actually in the lower part of the trunk where a limb was removed many years ago. That's the limb. But if it had hit the house, I'm afraid that it would have destroyed it. And it's made of pebble dash, which I don't know anybody that really knows how to repair that at this point. And we have already we planted a bur oak tree in the yard near where this pecan tree is. I've always loved the bur oaks because of they were all the ways up by Cloverdale School. But the house has been in my family for 100 years, and I'd hate for that tree to fall on it and destroy it.
Is there anyone here to speak to this project?
Robert Hessiel, Cloverdale Association. We conferred with Mr. Stringer, and we support the removal of the tree.
Are there any other comments on this project? Comments from the board? May I have a motion?
To approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Go in peace.
Thank you so much.
So welcome. Lloyd Kelly, Capitol Heights, 119 North Pennsylvania Avenue.
Hi, Lloyd.
Madam Chair and Board, I am not Mr. Kelly.
Okay,
This is one of the rare times you'll see staff presenting one of these. Mr. Kelly's deployed, he's in the military.
okay,
We feel it's a good thing. In this particular case, Mr. Kelly had hired a local company run by Richard Babington called Bullseye Tree Service to do some pruning for him. Mr. Babington thought it was in everybody's best interest to remove a tree. By the time I got there, too late for a stop work order. And by the time we found our deployed serviceman, he was unaware of any tree removals. So he's left with a violation and he's off somewhere. He made it clear that if the board wanted him to replace the tree, he's happy to do so, and he apologized profusely.
all right.
Oh, and if you look at the pictures, Mr. Babington is pictured. I think it's in 1B. There he is.
I saw it, there it is.
There he is. In case anybody needs to know what he looks like, there he is.
Mr. Stringer, isn't a hackberry tree on the list of trees we don't like?
No, there are such a thing as a good hackberry tree. Nothing wrong with this one.
I'm thinking of some other species that you, invasive species. I wasn't sure if it was a hackberry. Okay,
It's native, and I got pretty ones in my yard.
okay,
Concise now. We got to be concise.
I understand.
Is there anyone to comment on for this project? Anyone from the audience? Any comments from the board? May I have a motion then?
Based solely on the fact that this was done without the owner's approval, consent, or even knowledge, I'll move that we approve this removal, provided that upon his return, Mr. Kelly get with Mr. Stringer and come up with a suitable replacement.
Second?
All in favor? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for presenting this, Russell.
Thank you.
Lori Lampert and Odarrel Hauser, 103 North Lewis Street.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We are requesting permission to build a carport in the backyard. It is not on the easement. It is not, will not be visible from the road. Those are the dimensions. It's open on 3 sides. One side has storage.
Yeah, it's a basic carport with just the wood legs and tin roof. Just your basic carport. It's on the gravel. The whole back end is gravel. Where we park our vehicles is gravel. So we just want to cover that little section over the cars. It's about 10 feet from the property line for our neighbors, and the easement is about 20 feet over off the gate of the property. So it's just right in the backyard.
Okay. And am I interpreting the drawing correctly that it's just going to have a single slope roof?
Yes, well, the shed has a metal roof,
Huh?
and keeping with that, it would be metal, and it's just a single slope,
Okay.
right? We single slope down.
And you called out some hardy board shingles. Where would that be?
That's on the siding
Okay. It
To
will have
wrap the-
siding. Okay.
to match the house.
Well, not shingles.
But it's what it's called, hardwood.
Well, they make a hardy shingle. You're going to have hardy board siding on it?
Yes, that's the siding.
Okay. You said shingles in what you submitted, and I've only seen the hardy shingle one time, and it was kind of fake looking. So, but if you're doing hardy board, I think I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's what we're
Okay.
doing. It won't
All
be
right.
shingles.
All right. Any comments from the board?
How high is, I'm sorry, Mr. Hauser, I didn't see on the application, how high, tall is it gonna be, or did I
Well,
miss
it's
that?
28 feet long, 16 feet wide, and 8 feet high. just enough to clear the vehicles.
Fit a bit of snake in a bit. Okay, thank you.
Are you gonna bump your head on that?
No, the one we had at the old place, it was plenty of room. I'm just 6 feet.
Well, I really want to compliment you on how beautiful your house is. It's got a great paint job.
Thank you.
I always enjoy seeing it when I go down that street. Any other comments? If not, may I have a motion? Oh, no, there's no neighborhood person here. Motion?
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Willard Henson, Old Cloverdale, 806 Park Avenue.
Ms. Brown, we're going to hear 4 and 5 together since these properties are next door and owned by the same person.
All right.
Yes, actually, the two properties are owned separately. Steve Thompson and I own 608 Park Avenue. It's our primary residence.
Okay.
And the 1939 Ridge property is a separate lot, separate property, and we have transferred that to 1939 Ridge LLC, and it's a rental.
Okay.
And it was originally built by the family that constructed 608 Park, the Loebman family, in the 20s, and it was built as a house for their daughter and son-in-law, but the two properties were separated after World War II, and we repurchased 1939 Ridge. I've lived at 608 Park for 20 years. The two projects are designed to create larger yard area for both houses by the removal of the garage, which I have always intended to rehabilitate, but I've now been told by two contractors that because it sits not on a slab foundation, but just on footings on part, about 2/3 of the perimeter, and that the uprights are of insufficient strength to repair the building without removing the roof, which is very heavy, that it's impractical to do that, and it will provide a lot of additional space in the yard. The slide that you just went past, or that one right there, will replace this chain link fence and the distressed chain link fence, and replace it with an iron picket fence that will, the gate will be where the existing gate is. The fence will run along to the edge of that parking pad, turn back to 1939 Ridge, pick up on the other side of 1939 Ridge, and replace an existing fence along the south boundary. The existing gravel crush parking area there will be returned to sod. The new concrete driveway and parking area on the east side of the house will replace the parking. An additional reason for changing out the parking lot is the house sits on the crest of a hill, and the drainage is a serious issue. The gravel crush does not funnel enough water around the house, and the paved driveway we expect to address part of the moisture problem, which has been a constant one. Other than that, I think it's a fairly straightforward, just the demolition and the replacement of the driveway and the installation of the new fence.
Is there anyone from the audience to speak to this project, I'm sorry?
Robert Jesse, Old Cloverdale Association. We didn't have any objection to any of the work being done. My only concern was the fence line moving from one property over onto the rental property to widen that driveway area and any legal implications that would come from that down the road.
That would be a civil matter between the two property owners, and the city would not be involved in that if there was a dispute over that property line.
Yeah, we've had the two properties surveyed together, and so we're well aware of where the property line is. The proposed plan provides, there'll be a pedestrian gate from the parking pad for the rental property into the backyard. So it basically, it very much enhances the outdoor living area for the rental property as well as 608 Park.
Comments from the board?
I do have one question. The gravel that you're proposing to replace with concrete, is that the whole driveway, or is that just the parking pad in the rear of
No,
608 Park?
it's from the street, from the curb all the way back. The existing driveway from the street to the gate is cracked and
But it'll be a concrete driveway
it'll be
to the parking pad?
It'll be the same driveway with
Okay.
I think what they call the picture frame etching around the border, and it will go around the back of the house and it'll be parking on the south side.
Any other questions? Discussion? May I have a motion then?
Motion to accept as submitted.
All in favor?
Wait a minute.
Second.
Oh, sorry, second. Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, is that for both items then? An approval for both items that were presented?
Oh, yes, yes.
Just for the record, thanks.
4 and 5.
James and Alicia Jewell, 2417 East Cloverdale Park.
Hey everyone, Alicia Jules.
James Joy here, thank you.
We bought this cute little house, just mainly because we love the location of it, sitting right across from the park, but need a little bit more room. So we have a patio in the back that is just got screens on it right now, and we'd like to enclose it so we can make it a more livable space all year round for us. To do that, we've got Ronald Davis here with us, our window guy. So we'd like to just basically take all the screens out and put windows with screens so we can open and close it up as needed. There's 2 doors there that we want to replace because they're screen doors right now. So one is going to be a mahogany wood door and the other one is fiberglass. And nothing is visible from the street. The back where the windows would be is only visible to the neighbors behind us, and we've checked with them and they said they're okay with it.
That's correct. Most of the work in the project is not visible from the East Cloverdale Street or any other roads in the neighborhood. And the pool deck, which we're enclosing, has never had or does not have existing windows. It's just open space with some screening tacked into the walls. So it's really going to enhance the value of the residence once this project is completed. And Mr. Davis, he has a sample. Oh, do you want to bring the sample up? I'll get it. Sample of the window casements that we would propose to be used.
Okay, so it's not this configuration, but this is how the window will look, correct?
But much bigger.
A slider, and it's not going to have any buttons in it. It's going to be open glass, like, okay.
We're just kind of keeping that.
Yes, it is.
What brand are those windows?
The single, one door will be a fiberglass base with a solid glass piece from floor to top, and the wood, the Sapella mahogany wood door, and the other door opening will have a glass in the upper part of the door.
Okay.
Do you all have pictures of the house?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there anyone in the audience to speak to this project?
Robert Hesse, Old Cloverdale Association. We support the project.
All right. Any other one, anybody else from the audience? Any comments from the board?
What are the size of the openings of the windows when they'll be installed?
They're right around 82 to 83 inches. They vary just a little bit.
You said 82 to 83 inches in width. What about the height?
About 70.
About 70. Okay.
So it's going to essentially be more like sliding doors than windows, except they will.
Like big,
Okay.
like.
One light sliders.
Okay. Yeah. It's really not going to look much different from the screen. May I have a motion about this project then?
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Chair,
What?
Chair, can we possibly have something in the record that if these are approved, it's because they're on the rear elevation of the house on an enclosed porch, because typically they have not been, vinyl windows have not been approved, and certainly on the front and the side elevations.
And I meant to mention that, sir.
Would you like to amend your motion?
Let me withdraw it. I'll say something, then make it again.
All right.
These windows are not being placed in the residence. These are in basically a small pool house, I thought.
Yeah.
Because they're not in the residence, and because the...
It's in the residence. It's a back porch.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pool deck. The original historic windows are inside the pool deck. So you still have windows for the house inside the pool deck.
All right. Well, based on its location, which is the back, not facing the front,
And the period of the house.
and yes, the period of the house. We usually don't do vinyl, I don't believe, in this type of window, but given this situation and the location, I would move to approve the project as presented.
Second.
All in favor? I'm abstaining.
Yes, ma'am.
I did forget to mention there's a door in the front of the house that we wanted to make the same color as the rest of the house.
Please.
Because
Oh, you know-
it stands out.
Yes, I noticed that.
Okay. If you have any other suggestions for the front of the house, let me know.
Please paint that door.
Okay.
All right.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Troy University is
Thank you.
asking if you will please pull your microphone down and speak more directly. They are having a hard time hearing you.
I'm sorry. I'll move over. I'm having a hard time seeing over my computer monitor tonight. And that's why I had slipped to the side. I do need a booster seat. Thank you for noticing. Maybe I should just bring a cushion every week. All right. Stuart Hayes III, Cloverdale Outwild, 3132 to 3136 DuPont Road.
Good evening. I am requesting to widen the driveway. It's currently it's actually two separate driveways. That's the picture of the duplex there. It's a driveway on the north side and south side. The driveways run from east to west. They're currently 7 feet wide and broken up. Roots have tore up the driveways and The current tenants really cannot use the driveway without damaging the vehicles, so we want to combination of take out a part of it and maybe even end up pouring new driveways, but it'll go from currently a 7 feet wide, which is too narrow for most vehicles, unless it's a very small car, to being 10 to 12. And that 10 to 12 is kind of based on the left side. You can't see it in the picture, but there's a power pole that's very close to the driveway. So that one will probably end up being 10. So we don't put the driveway too close to the power pole, and the other one will be 12. Along with that, the left side, the current picture that you're seeing, I think that's the south driveway. It's a hedge that is just overgrown and really struggling. We want to take that out and put a picket fence in. That picket fence will be 4 feet tall, and there's a picture that I included that it would basically resemble.
Is there anyone from the audience to speak to this project? Y'all can both talk, as long as you're quick.
Charlie Colvin with the Cloverdale Idlewild Association. We don't have any objection to the project. Certainly the driveways are needed, and the fence is a nice addition, but we do not like a vinyl fence. The only precedent we have for a vinyl fence in the history of our neighborhood is one that we did get a vinyl fence, but it was caveated with a hedge to mask the fence so that it was not visible from the street.
They look too new for too long.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to
I have no objection to the wood fence. I actually
All
don't
right.
know how that got in there. We were doing a wood fence.
All right,
I was going to say, Mr. Hayes, I live in this neighborhood. I know there are other fences, pickets, and again, like Mr. Colvin said, my only problem with the project would be the vinyl, but if you're willing to make it wood and paint it,
yeah, that's fine.
No problem.
The only problem I could see with the width of the driveway is how it's going to intersect with the house. You wouldn't want the driveway to like come over and run up into the house. It needs to be, stepped back some.
No, it won't run up into currently, and it's very hard to see in the picture because it's so broken up. The driveway is connected to a walk, sort of a little walkway going to the stairs.
Okay.
The driveway would stop short, and that little walkway would connect to the stairs like it currently is.
Thank you. Thank you for clearing that up. Any other comments from the board? If not, may I have a motion?
Understanding that the fence will be wood and not vinyl, I move to approve the project as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jordan Creel. Here requesting approval for a gravel parking pad after the fact to the side of my property on 737 Park Avenue.
Any comments from the audience?
Robert Hesse, Old Cloverdale Association. We do not support this project. Had he come before he did the work, we would have explained that neighbors would have commented their objection to the extended footprint and the material used, and they're just not pleased with the aesthetics of the project.
So Robert, what the neighbors were looking for here is something that's more consistent with the driveway?
Yes. If it was concrete and less if the footprint was taken back a little bit and then concrete, I think that would make everybody happy.
What do you mean the footprint taken back?
They were just saying that the neighbors that I haven't been by to look at it personally, so I'm going off of what some of the neighbors have said, that it's just too wide.
Too wide. Too wide on my property?
So are you saying that it does not extend beyond your property?
No, ma'am, there's still roughly 12 to 15 feet before the next residence.
Okay.
I see that you have, what you're trying to do is provide room for your truck and a trailer.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Majority of the time, just my truck. I run a landscape business on the side. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, but on the side I do run a landscape company. So most of the summer months, yes, ma'am, I will have the 14-foot trailer and my truck, but both fit quite neatly in there. And I do plan to paint the retaining wall the same color as the back retaining wall.
Okay.
As far as the footprint, I also do have edging as well. I just have to have time to get it down.
Yeah.
I'm going 90 to nothing right now. Not an excuse though.
Okay. No, I guess my problem that I see with this is that there's not an edge here. This is kind of an awkward pull off. We've got the tree here, the grass is already thin, you've got some dirt sort of showing through, and you've got the pavement. It needs an edge.
As far as like more of a divider between the concrete
And the
rock,
grass, yes.
I can handle that.
Or plant some kind of ground cover like Asian jasmine or something in that spot so that it looks green and the gravel is sort of more screened from the road.
Yes, ma'am.
When I drove by to look at the project and I saw the gravel, but your driveway goes up, and from the road I really couldn't see what was going on.
Typically, we also, if we have a little parking pad of something like that, we usually have like a 4-foot tall landscape edge of some sort, some bushes or something right there. So it sort of hides from the street. The car being landscaped, would that be amenable?
As far as like along the right edge
Yeah,
of the
like
parking pad?
like a bank of azaleas or some kind of evergreen, I would guess, would be a good solution. You could talk with Mr. Stringer and see what he thinks would work well.
That was going to be my comment, to screen the thing off. And it's something like holly would be fine in this case.
Like a dense evergreen.
Okay.
I think there used to be the wisteria kind of
Yeah.
ruined all that. But still fighting that, but
For the rest of your life.
I understand. Yes, ma'am. I understand what you guys are saying. Absolutely. And I'm sorry that I'm even here. I apologize. I did not ever foresee it being this big of a deal.
All
But
right.
we will take the steps to fix it for sure.
Okay. Shall we table this project and let you come back with a better plan next month?
I'm sorry. I didn't
I
hear
said,
what.
shall we table the project rather than have a finding of any kind, and you come back with a better plan for this area at the next meeting?
So I already have purchased edging as well as bricks for the right edge to make a clear and defined edging.
Yes.
I've already purchased both of those and have them sitting in the shop in the back. Just this Saturday I can do it, make it pretty, and also plant some shrubbery if you guys would like.
Okay.
Would that be feasible?
Well, hang on a minute. Robert, from Old Cloverdale, I mean, we mentioned it, but kind of blew past it. We're talking about, now we have gravel. And we talked briefly about concrete kind of to match the driveway, and then it kind of went away. Do you think your folks in the Old Cloverdale Association would feel better about this if it were concrete as opposed to being just gravel, rock on the side of the street, on the side of the house?
That was what I was told, that if it was concrete and it matched the driveway, it wouldn't look so obscure from the street.
I haven't driven by it. I usually
Yeah,
do
neither
when I'm close to these projects. I live just across Fairview Avenue, but I can tell from the pictures that gravel looking at the front of your house, you notice it. And I understand that it's
You
going to
see
be
it a little
shielded,
bit, but if you put bushes
should be
there,
shielded
you
somewhat
wouldn't
by some plants and whatnot. But if you go into putting down concrete, Mr. Stringer, can I bug you for a moment? Looking at where this is, I notice there's a very large mature pine tree.
Well, it's a problem.
I'm sorry?
So I've also got a very large 2-ton truck and a 15-foot trailer that I back in there every night. It's quite the job to back it through there. That's
I can only imagine. I can't back for nothing. Just ask my wife. We're talking about if he were to put down a concrete pad as opposed to having gravel, would that be a problem for this pine tree?
Urban forestry would be very much opposed to that. Urban forestry would also.
Okay.
Some of the historic preservationists, even on this board, think that gravel is a better material in this location than more concrete on this site.
That would be our take on it. If you screen it, you won't be able to see it from the road.
Yes.
And we just approved a combination of concrete and gravel on a previous project.
That's correct. I don't think we need to have concrete in this location. You've got enough concrete on your site already.
Thank you.
I think if it could be screened from the road so that it's not visible.
Come back next month.
Made to look better and more appropriate, that would be fine.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, do we need to table it, or can we just go forward with those, make a motion with those amendments?
You can make a motion with those amendments,
All right.
or you can table it if you want to see a plan.
What's your pleasure, John? Your pleasure is for me to make the motion?
Yeah.
All right.
I've kind of made my say, and I'm, but in any event,
All right. I move that we approve this project contingent upon screening the gravel from the street by planting an evergreen border of some kind between the grass at the pine tree, between the grass and the driveway. Is there anything else that we said? The edging, and that you put the brick edging.
Yes, ma'am. I do. I'm sorry. I do have one more
Okay,
question.
I got a question.
Yes.
If he has to do evergreen between the pine tree and the grass,
Right. I can't get the truck and the trailer.
What you got? He can't back in.
Miss Kalia, nobody can hear you.
If he has to do some type of shading between the tree and the where they park the parking pad, he won't be able to back in. Like he needs to be able to back in, not over the trees that you're asking him to plant.
I can angle the trees a little
Right.
bit more this way.
Yep.
To where it makes it much less of an acute angle to back the trailer into the parking pad and achieve the same effect.
Okay.
That acceptable?
If you do a nice little angle
Yes, ma'am.
edge, I just think that'd be cool.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'll make it pretty.
Okay.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
I think if he was to submit a plan with all these changes, he could probably have the support of the association.
I think that's probably what we need to do, because we're talking about a lot of things that require a little finesse in the details.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we will table this until next month, and you come back with a plan, and we will look at it. But I think this is something we can approve.
do we need a motion to table? All right, I agree. I move to table the plan in order to give the applicant an opportunity to incorporate the changes that have been suggested, submit the new plan next month, and give the Cloverdale Association an opportunity to review it for their feedback also.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right.
Barry, how are you voting? You're in favor? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Number 9, Tim Goodrow, Old Cloverdale, 835 Park Avenue. This is what?
Zoom.
No.
We have a Zoom meeting, okay.
No, 14.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
We are requesting to replace the existing gravel park pad in front of our house with a stamped concrete. And the footprint will be the same. It'll be about 34 by 24 in its size there. We're replacing it because we bought the house in 21. The gravel park pad was already there. We've had difficulty maintaining the rocks, and we get a lot of grass, and it looks really bad. So we'd like to replace that. We submitted 2 potential patterns for the review, but we probably will go with a smooth concrete with a stamped border, and the color will be consistent with the existing concrete driveway, which is already there.
Okay.
With maybe some slight variation, but consistent generally with the driveway.
Okay. So it's going to be sort of the darker color at the bottom or the lighter color at the top on our options?
The lighter color, I'm sorry, the driveway itself is actually the lighter color we're
Okay.
shooting for, so.
Okay.
I mean, there may be some, slight variation, but that's generally what we're trying to get at, so.
Well, that variation is what you're looking for probably rather than just...
A little bit, right, yes, a little contrast, right.
It'll probably blend a bit over time anyway.
Right, yeah.
It will.
Will you be maintaining the landscape around it?
Yes, yes.
Questions from the audience?
Cloverdale Association supports the project.
All right. Any more comments from the board? May I have a motion, please?
Move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Thank you.
Paulette Thompson, Garden District, 1916 South Bell Street.
Madam Chair, I do have a conflict of interest on this item, so I will have to recuse myself for it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Frank Litchfield with CC and Litchfield Architects. This is Mr. Thompson, the owner, and David Eisenhower, the contractor. And we're actually requesting that we do maintenance on this deck. It might take some rebuilding. It will retain, if you go back to that photograph you just owned, it will retain the same footprint. We are enclosing a little bit more on the screen porch and changing a few doors out. They'll all be the same door, a 3 pane wide, 5 pane high. We're adding a fireplace on the north side. All materials will be of same material as existing. We helped Mr. Thompson with this deck about 35 years ago. So it's if you go back to look at the photographs, you can see even though it's good treated wood, it's getting pretty old, and we really don't know the extent of how much we'll replace until Mr. Eisenhower gets into it.
All right.
That's basically it. All the materials, that little area right there, we will add a little flat roof over that area. The roof line will not get any higher than it is. It will not be visible from the street, or I don't think the neighbors, either one, can see it.
Probably not. I had no idea all this good stuff was going on in the back. Any comments from the audience? Comments from the board? May I have a motion then?
Move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Frank, it's good to see you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Elizabeth.
You're a little older, Frank, than you were 35 years ago when you did this project.
Well, I could only see the top of your heads and your hairdos. And I don't recall your hair being that color either.
You were absolutely correct. Cedric Grant, Garden District, 1540 South Perry Street.
Good evening.
We're ready to hear it.
Okay. I'm requesting to add 2 dormers to this property. When the property was purchased, about 90% of the 3rd floor had caught on fire. So during the renovation of it, we decided we wanted to utilize the 3rd floor was just the attic space. So when during the renovation, we wanted to utilize all of the space that we could on the 3rd floor. So we added 2 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms upstairs, a bath, and a bonus room. Well, in order to have the bedrooms, you have to have, so that's why I'm requesting that. And for the windows, if you look at this back part here, all of that area was burned out, and so I'm trying to see where you let me use, I know you don't like the vinyl windows, but maybe the aluminum clad windows, if we can use those, because I've been having a hard time trying to get someone to make the same exact wood windows to fit in that area.
I think Paula might even have a couple of recommendations on clad wood windows that have the thin mullion.
Like the Pella Architectural Series that y'all have approved previously.
And I think there's been a different one too, maybe. But yeah.
I know Pella's the one you approved more. Sean, do you remember seeing another brand other than Pella for aluminum clad?
I'm not sure. I did provide the window maintenance guide to Mr. Grant, which has a list of the windows that the board has typically approved. And yeah, Pella, I do remember that one.
This window that's in the dormer,
Yes.
is it a casement that opens out this way or something? I know the window has to open.
No, it's double hung. It'll just go up and down.
Okay, it's not drawn like a double hung. There's not a, okay. I really think that if we're going to add a feature to the front of this house, is there a reason it couldn't have been, the dormers couldn't be on the back?
No, ma'am, if you notice right here, the back part of the house is real narrow, plus it has a chimney that comes up through the middle of it. And so the space we can utilize was on the front part of the house.
Because if that was the part that was on fire, the firemen couldn't get the people out of that window. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that it's perfectly. I mean, a dormer is what could be on this house. There are plenty of other houses that have dormers, but I'm not convinced that the details that are shown on this are what we can approve. It needs to look like a double hung window. And is this the window that was there? Do we know what was there? It's on the side. Okay, so it's 9/9s. It needs to look like the windows that are below it, but it's a bigger window, isn't it?
Well, actually, the window that's going in the dormer is actually 5030, smaller window, and it would kind of look like this.
Okay, okay.
Design, it's the same design as the one that's below. And
Well,
this,
in classical architecture, the success of this is going to be in the details of those dormers. As they're drawn now, and that's what I have to judge on, they look like something that could be on a house at East Montgomery. And we need to look like it's going to be on a house in the 1920s on Perry Street.
if I can say, like I said, they're not completed, but the same design that you see that's going around the soffit of the house, we're going to do the same thing to the dormers.
Okay, but probably a little bit reduced in scale since that's a mighty big cornice. Yes, so you're going to have those are called dentals. They're
Yes.
supposed to be like teeth.
Correct.
So you're going to have dentals on that?
Yes.
So how this kind of goes down in like flat like that, they kind of call it dog ears, and that's not what you do in a house like this. So I think it's something we can work with, but I think maybe if we could table it to where we get a better design. I'm sorry, if we could table it possibly to get a better design on the detail of that dormer would be a better thing. I think we can work with the dormers, but this dormer is not accurate for this house. It's going to be kind of a letdown, sort of.
We want them to look like, we want them to look more like in keeping with
it's a very minor detailing, but it's important.
Okay. Do y'all have the drawing that I provided?
I just popped that right into the microphone. If they were listening, their ears are broken. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the one that's not quite right. It shows the wrong window. It shows, I think, possibly the wrong width of the dormer based on what's kind of been built. If you go to the window, what number is this?
11E.
11E. You could go to, see how that has kind of like, that's like a big dormer. And it sort of needs that detailing, but smaller in scale. Would that be kind of a way to say it?
Yes, yes.
It's the pediment that needs to be correct.
Okay. Well, that's what we were doing anyway, but you just need me to add that to the drawing.
Yeah, I think if we could see a drawing that's correct, because this does not have the correct pediment or the correct window, or what's really on the sides of this dormer.
We really can't. We sometimes approve things when people tell us what they're going to do, and then they don't do. And I'm not saying that you would do this, but it's a dangerous business to go on a handshake when it comes to something that's going to last another 100 years on that street.
And in such a prominent location.
Yeah, very.
Okay.
And I'm a visual person. I have a hard time in my head imagining. I know exactly what you're trying to do, but with a correct set of drawings, like the others said, I don't think this will be a huge problem. But again, if we could get the right drawings, come back next month, I think it would be something that would go straight through.
I think this is a Frank Lockwood house.
Yeah.
Could be, I mean, and you can even like find a dormer and say it's going to look like this. I mean.
Yeah, there's plenty of them out there.
But
it's a common feature.
But the current one is of a 1980s kind of design, and we would like it to have the look of this that is so much more appropriate to your house. I think you'd be so much more happy to have that look. So, is there anyone in the neighborhood to talk about it?
Laura's not here tonight.
Okay.
I drive by your house every day because I live on Winthrop Court, so I'm going that way by your house.
It's a nice property.
Gorgeous house.
It is a gorgeous house.
Yeah.
And by one of the most prominent architects of the 19th and 20th century in Montgomery, Frank Lockwood.
So would I have to wait until the next meeting if I can get the drawings to you ASAP, get the architect to draw them up to finish that part of the house?
Yes.
Okay.
Just like the fellow with the landscape issue.
And as far as your other windows are concerned, we've certainly approved plenty of clad windows
Okay.
in the past, so that, if they match what the original windows were, that's really not going to be a problem.
The main thing there is having the thinner mutton, the little lines in the windows. Some of them are very fat. They're like 1.5 inches. Not that, the thinner ones.
Any other comments? Can I have a motion to table this until the next meeting?
I move that we table it to the next meeting, give Mr. Grant an opportunity to get his designs and drawings, perhaps if there are photographs of other examples of the Dahmers in the neighborhood for representing. Understand that we understand what you're doing and don't foresee it being a problem. We just need better drawings because, again, especially some, I'm a little older now, and I'm not quite as, I need a little something, I'm a visual kind of guy. So that's my motion to table it to the next meeting.
All right.
Second.
All in favor? I'm excited about this project. Thank you.
All right.
It's going to look good. I think it looks very nice.
Ashley Cook, 1315 South McDonough Street.
Hi. Sorry. Wore my tall shoes today. Good evening. I am here to petition the replacement of the windows in the house. So there are a couple of issues with the windows. One, they've been caulked shut, pretty significantly caulked shut. I did try and get in there and so that they could open because we had a really temperate fall this year, and they can't. And then they have locking pins on some of them, and then some of the windows are also rotting within the frame. The frames are pretty immaculate, but the wooden window parts themselves are starting to rot in the bottom sill portion of the house. So, yes. Also, I'm not very good at measuring things, so those are like approximations.
This is more than sufficient to talk about your project.
Thank you. Pride myself in being prepared.
I'm not a very good measurer either, and considering what I did for a living, that's sometimes not a very good thing. Someone else needs to measure this.
Yeah.
Let me hold the dummy end of the tape.
I'll oversee the project.
Yes.
From afar.
In considering whether or not to replace windows, generally windows, especially windows like this, can be repaired. If if the sashes are in terrible condition, the sashes can be, pieces can be repaired and replaced, or the next step, if the sashes can't be repaired, would be to just replace the sashes, not replace the window, and have somebody make new sashes for you. Is Hilda still in business? Hilda Dent?
She sold her business and is training the new owners how to do it.
Okay.
Was my last hearing that I heard.
All right. That's what I heard too.
So when you talk about replacing the windows, is it the window and the whole part around the window, or is it just the sashes, which is like
the part that holds the glass that goes up and down, or doesn't go up and down in this case?
Right. So the part that should go up and down.
Should go up and down.
So the bottom sash is rotted in, I think, 60% of the windows. Most of them are the front-facing ones, unfortunately. And so part of the problem, yes, is that the windows are in bad shape. Some of them are rotted. Most of them are sealed shut in very permanent ways. And then another thing is also that they're incredibly energy inefficient. And so just to throw my past couple of air conditioning bills at you, it was $400 last month. The month before it was $350. The month before that it was $450. These are kind of astronomical. I'm in grad school right now, so having the ability to have windows that function like to keep air conditioning in would be nice as well.
Well, in
Yeah,
that
well,
case,
it says she's going to retain the existing frames.
yes.
Openings.
Okay.
Okay. So you are doing, it says you're retaining the existing frame, so you're taking
Yes.
out the two window pieces. They'll put new side pieces
Yes.
within there and then stick new energy efficient window pieces back in.
Yes. And they will look identical to the windows that are already present on the house, including the configuration of the muntins and the sizes of those. And it will be the same color. They will function the same way. They will look identical.
I also wouldn't have any objection to storm windows on this house, which would both protect the windows from the weather and give you a more efficient window than, in quote, today's energy efficient windows. Because the wood is a better insulator than plastic or metal with foam on the inside too.
And those can be installed inside or outside without this board's approval.
Food for thought.
But you can't open a window.
Well, she can get operable storms. I have those in my bedrooms. Do you know how much this is going to cost?
It is going to cost.
Oh, we're not supposed to talk about cost, Katie tells me.
Okay.
Sorry.
But that is why I also put in this first slide about phasing the project, so it's not going to be like done all in a day, just because the budget will not allow for that.
Anyone that's done anything with window replacement knows it's going to cost a lot.
Baby.
And that's about all
The
you
way
need.
that I've approached window repair before, and since you're leaving the frames in and just taking the sashes out, you can buy a storm window or two that fit most of your windows, and take the put the storm window up and take the sashes out, and just use the storm window as your primary window while you work on those sashes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good, it's an easy way to phase the project too, because you just move those. You've got a lot of windows that are the same size, and you can just move the storm window around as you repair the windows. Do you have Hilda's phone number in your bag of tricks, Paula?
Let me look.
All right. Hilda also gave me
I do not, but I can get it for you tomorrow.
And the last time I talked with Hilda, she gave me the phone number for somebody who could make me 2 new sashes, which I need too. So I think talking with Hilda Dent, who's a window repair specialist, would, it would probably be less costly in the long run and something that would be easy for you to phase as you go along. And something that I would certainly, as a board member, feel more comfortable about than replacing all the windows. We've grown up to think that what we do when windows leak is that we throw them away and get new windows, and that's not really the traditional way to approach it. You should investigate repairing the windows before you say that you, and you may have some windows that have to be replaced, strange sizes or on the back or something, but at least these windows that are across the front of your house, from which I used to live across the street, it would be very nice to have that still look like it does. And I know that that house tastes a lot of weather because you face the west right there and the sun is just beating on you. It used to have, there were 2 little old ladies who lived there, and they had striped canvas awnings on those front windows, which kept a lot of sun out of the house. Of course, it made the living room dark, and you probably love the fact that the living room is light.
Yeah, I have a lot of natural light.
But my side of my house faces the west, and I just had to put awnings on the windows. That was all there was to it.
I have one question.
Yes.
If she is contacted, if she were to do the windows, if she does what she does that increase the efficiency of the windows? Like, the young lady is trying to achieve?
It will increase the efficiency of the window. But in order to really make a window that's going to perform as well or better than a new window, she'll have to put a storm window up, which you can, and you'll already have one or two. So that it's actually better, and the window protects. It's a window that's built to last another 50 or 75 years rather than commercially available window, except from the brands that none of us can afford, is more like a 15 or 20 year. You don't want to have to do this again, or leave it to somebody else to do again.
But we're not telling her that she can't switch them out if she wants to.
I actually am saying that.
Oh, okay.
She needs to fully investigate. I mean, if the window report comes back, no, these are not repairable, then yes.
Okay.
If the windows were gray and hanging, the sashes were broken and glass was falling out of them and that sort of thing, yes, I think your windows would need to be replaced. But I'm pretty confident these can be repaired. And that ought to be always our first line of defense. You have to at least investigate repair. And if all you're doing is the sashes, they should be able to be repaired.
And to speak to the energy efficiency, I live in a house that's about 130 years old, has the original windows all intact, all have been repaired numerous times. We bought the house in 2017, considered the exact same thing you're considering, and thankfully with some wise counsel, we opted to invest in attic insulation, and it cut our power bills by about a third. So that's another recommendation if you are wanting to improve the energy efficiency. We had very little attic insulation, and that helped. Different conversation, the windows, but anyways, these windows were, like I said, the original windows lasted 130 years, and if we continue to maintain them, they'll last for hopefully another 130 years. So I recommend looking into attic insulation as well.
The back of your house, too, is more than 6 feet off the ground. And if you don't have insulation under the floor in the back part of the house, in the front where it's just on a crawl space, it's not really very cost effective, but in the back, that would make a difference, too. I don't know how much insulation is in your attic either.
My attic has been sealed.
Okay.
So I also don't know. It is inaccessible. So
It's sealed?
yes.
I've never heard of that.
You know, there was a really good person who lived in that house who did a lot of work on it. I'm sort of surprised he would seal up the attic.
They did it because of the power bill.
But that doesn't necessarily help your efficiency to seal it if it's got
The
no
idea behind it
insulation.
was if there's no AC that reaches the attic, so if they sealed, like there were cracks in the fold down thing,
yeah.
so the idea was if they sealed it off, the air conditioning would just stay on the main floor. And so that was the idea behind that.
Okay.
All right. So may I have a motion on this project, or do I need to make it myself? Make it myself, I guess.
I'll move to approve as submitted, and she can have the opportunity to speak to Ms. Den if she so chooses and investigate repair as opposed to replace.
I think that I move that you investigate repair rather than replacement for the windows in your house before we move this project. But what you're doing would be the second line is just replacing the sashes, and that is approved.
So would I need to resubmit a proposed project if it's just the sashes that I'm replacing?
No, yes, you would need to come back then, but investigate whether the maintenance of the sashes, and if you can do this by repairing the windows, you don't have to come back to the ARB at all. I mean, repair is always something that's pre-approved.
Ms. Brown, why don't you table this for a month, give her a chance to speak to Hilda?
Okay.
And then if she decides to repair, she can pull it.
Okay.
And if she wants to replace, she can come back next month. Is that okay?
That's a good idea.
So I would need to contact who if I want to retract it?
Well, you would have to contact our office if you decide to repair as opposed to replace, because then maintenance you're able to do. I will email you or call you with Hilda Dent's number in the morning so that you can contact her as soon as possible to try and get her to come out and look at them. And then we'll go forward from that.
Okay, thank you.
I move that we table this project in order to give Ms. Cook an opportunity to investigate whether she could do this project without replacement as opposed to repair.
All right.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Good. Thank you. Okay, we've got Brian Kelly and McKinley Durham, Old Cloverdale, 649 Cloverdale Road. You have appeared as if by magic. Tell us about your project.
Of course. We're just trying to extend our yard a bit. Our side yard's pretty neglected and isn't fenced in. So we want to add some fencing on the side and up to the front. And then we want to add a clover field, since we're in Cloverdale, with some stepping stones where there's currently just hardscaping.
This is a terrific house.
It's going to be. It's almost there.
Is there anyone from the audience to comment on this project?
Robert Hesse, Old Cloverdale Association. I don't believe they mentioned the fence.
Yep.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. It's black metal picket.
Yeah, but we support the project.
All right. Is there anyone else in the audience to speak to this project? Comments from the board? May I have a motion, please?
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? I'm now pretty confident that if we have more than 13 projects on the agenda, that I lose the ability to function at that point. So, I'm trying, folks.
You're doing well.
All right. Number 14, Denise Hensley. Is this the Zoom meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. 207 Montgomery Street, the Bell Building.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, thank you all for letting me participate and propose and present for this via Zoom, since we're about 6.5 hours away. I'm representing Smart Bank, a new bank that's considering coming into this building. And we have worked with Smart Bank and been their primary sign contractor for about the past 10 years. We do hold a state contractor's license in the state of Tennessee, as well as Virginia and Nevada. But I believe that our contractor's license would be reciprocated there in Alabama. We've done a lot of work for Smart Bank in the state of Alabama. So what we are proposing for them to have at this location is some presence, as their neighboring bank does, for some letter sets on the rooftop or near the top of the building. There is no area at the top of the building for a sign band area like their neighboring bank has. So we were proposing to put a tall raceway, if you will, and just put the letters on the front of that raceway on the top of the building on both of those elevations shown. And then on the street level, we would propose to put a sign letter set on the either side of both of those elevations there at the corner, as well as a triangle projecting sign, which is their logo that goes with their letter set, and then the awnings as well on both elevations. I know that from what I understand, if I understood correctly, that you request or require neon instead of an internally illuminated sign. So am I correct in thinking that?
I believe that's what's in the sign ordinance, isn't it? If it's lit, not that we haven't approved other things, frankly.
It's not supposed
Okay.
to be internally lit. It can be channel set, back glow, neon.
So what we were presenting, as far as the neon look, we would not propose to use actual neon for several reasons. One is the energy efficiency, as well as the safety factor and low maintenance required or high maintenance required for neon. But we do have a product that we use that we actually had developed for a customer in Jonesboro, which is it's the oldest town in the state of Tennessee, and they replicated their old theater there, Jackson Theater, and they wanted to use the old neon as the original neon, like it was originally back in the 1930s. And we proposed this product that looks just like neon, except it's pushed through acrylic, and it is LED illuminated, which is much better energy efficient, as well as a much higher safety factor than neon. And I have an example here if you'd like to see that.
The night view that you show is pretty good.
The night view just shows how it does illuminate with the neon stroke, so to speak. And then I can show you this letter that would be very similar. It's a channel letter, but you can see that it has the push-through acrylic inside that mimics neon. And I'll plug that up. And I know the color isn't showing up as well with the way on the screen, but it does look much better than this. It's just like a bright red neon. It looks just like neon. We've used this at a couple of different locations that the customer or requirement wanted neon, and we use this and it just mimics it perfectly. So that's what we would propose in order to meet your requirement instead of actually using actual neon. And then I do have this product, which is just, it would be hard to do that with their triangle. So this is the face that would be on their triangle logo, and that's pretty much impossible to do with a neon open face look, but that would be for the two projection signs at the lower level, and then for the letter set at the top of the building.
Is there anyone in the audience to speak to this project? All right, discussion from the board then.
I believe that the signage on the roof can accommodate, as the staff indicated, this is a 12-story building, so I believe that the signs on top of the building are okay. The other comment from the staff that I agree with, Ms. Hensley, on the street, you're going to have two awnings on two different streets. Could you center Smart Bank over those awnings? It appears from...
One of them's centered and the other one is not.
Well, one of them, I'm looking at the daylight version. It's almost centered, and I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
I just want to ensure that and I'm sure that things look a little different when you're able to get it on the building as opposed to when you have it in the these aren't actual photographs, so, but it wouldn't be a problem to ensure that all signage is centered on those awnings.
Absolutely, that's easy to do.
As far as the triangle, I think its size is such that it would, again, I think this building could accommodate, it doesn't look like, I know it's kind of a street, it's part of the street, might be part of the street view, but I think it's not so large that it would be overpowering and would be accommodated by the building.
I agree. Are there any other comments? Then can we vote?
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess right now what we move forward is just going ahead and go center the one letter set and then present with an actual application.
We'll
With an
actually do approval letters tomorrow. Give us time to get them in the computer, and then you should be able to pull a permit to proceed.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paula. All right. Number 15, Devin Yates, Cloverdale Idlewild, 3149 LeBron Road.
Hi there. I brought my boyfriend here. He's the homeowner as well. We just bought the house on LeBron and are wanting to polish it up and bring it back to life, and are looking to demolish the outbuilding in the back. It's got significant wood rot and is leaning. We lovingly call it the haunted house.
You're going to have a use for it just next week.
I know, it's perfect for Halloween, but we don't want anyone to go into it right now because it is pretty dangerous. Our home inspection said that it is very hazardous. It has live knob and tube wiring in it.
I'm sorry.
All right, everybody who's on the board who has live knob and tube wiring in their house, raise their hand.
Every time the guy that rewired my house, which I'm about 3 blocks from you, called it knobbing and tubing. Every time I hear knob and tube, I'm sorry.
Think about him.
Involuntarily cackle.
So this is just this shed didn't have a bathroom in it or anything?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's just wood slats inside with
Okay.
a bunch of junk from previous owners.
Okay.
And then also our home insurance company contacted us and said that they would stop our policy if we didn't demolish it. There it is. You can see the leaning and the wood rot and all of that.
All right. Is there any,
What do you plan to do, like, with once it's gone? Just leave it?
For now, we want to clean up the vegetation around it. You can see that there's trees growing around it, but for now, we just want to clean it up. And then eventually, we'll come back and talk about, some sort of shed that we can park our cars under.
Okay.
and
It
have
has
some
the current, like,
storage.
concrete floor to it?
It doesn't.
It's
Dirt
floor?
It's dirt, yeah.
Oh, wow.
so this is barely a building, you're telling us?
Sorry.
It's barely a building?
It's barely, I think you could tug on it.
It's a collection of wood.
I think it is a barn, a tiny barn.
It's, yeah, for many horses.
Is there anyone from the audience to speak to this project?
Just stay there, Charlie. You got a problem with this?
We hate to lose knob and tube wiring. It's just, it's a thing that historically we just try to preserve. Don't have any objection at all to that building going away, of course. And just one curious question, do we actually have an ARB policy on replacement buildings? You don't have any plans to replace it, but is there they'd have to come back for a new building, correct?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And normally I would request that people record the building, but, take good pictures of it and put them at the Montgomery County Historical Society, but I think that we can forgo it on this particular one.
Wow.
All right. I move to approve this project as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And for sitting through the longest,
Got one more.
all right, one more. David Sumner, Cloverdale Idlewild, 655 Hubbard Street. Do you walk by this house every day with your dogs, John?
Ma'am?
Do you walk by this house every day with your dogs?
Not every day.
I don't see him every day.
Not every day. Although I'm about to retire, so you probably will see me more often.
All right, tell us what you want to do.
So the last project that was approved,
Thank you.
am I coming through?
Yes.
I'm hearing an echo, so sorry
Yeah.
about that. So the last project that was approved, I'm kind of wrapping that up, working on the last portion, which is the gate and the fence along the driveway. And what I'd like to do is to try to find out what options I have to maybe rebuild a garage that was there previously. Because I know the variance or the easement for detached buildings is 5 feet. And I was hoping if I could maybe rebuild on the existing footprint of the garage that was built with the house. Previous owner tore it down. I don't know when exactly, but I was able to uncover most of the foundation. So I used that to kind of put on the site plan as far as what the footprint was. This rendering is just something I put together quickly just to have an idea or concept of what I would like to build if possible. And this is if I'm able to build it within the same distance of the property line as the previous garage. If I had to comply with a 5-foot easement, I would probably change the size and everything because I wouldn't want to take up that much of my yard. So I put this together just as a concept, kind of following what my neighbor has. She has a carriage house. It's a 2-story carriage house that was original with her property. So I was kind of following that similar design as inspiration. There just showing a kind of combination of the siding materials, lap siding, board and batten, and shingle. Just kind of mix up the texture and the appearance of the structure. That's the basic idea of what I want to build, and it kind of maxes out the size allowance for a detached building, so it's about 672 square feet. So that design isn't finalized. I'm willing to make changes to it and adjustments as needed. But I was hoping if I could get an answer on the variance for the easement, if that's something that would be permitted for me to rebuild it on the existing footprint or not, because that kind of guides me on, do I want to build a garage? What kind of garage would I build, depending on where I'm able to place it on the property.
Well, we're the what kind of garage can I build, guys? But you'd have to go to the Board of Adjustment to see if you could get a variance to build on the footprint of the former garage.
Okay.
Have you already submitted an application for the Board of Adjustment?
I am not.
There's a possibility, if you can get it to our office tomorrow, that we can get you on the November meeting,
Okay.
which would be prior to the ARB meeting in November. So if we can get the application tomorrow, get you on that meeting, table this until next month, then you would know whether or not that variance was granted when you come back to this board in November.
Okay.
And that's up to you. That's just an option.
Okay.
What is the 2-story space for?
Initially storage, but if it was possible, zoning-wise and financially, to finish the space, maybe as an office for my business. I work from home, so being able to have a separate space to go to for an office down the road is what I would like to do with the building if I were able to build it.
Okay.
So I guess there's nothing to decide on. I got to go through zoning.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you may have mentioned, David, how far is the old, I mean, you have the original pad, I guess.
Not a pad, it's the brick foundation, perimeter foundation. And I'm guessing it was a dirt floor originally.
And you think it may be too close to the property line?
It's on the property line.
It's on the property line?
Yeah.
Where I look at it now, there's only a few inches between where I uncovered it and where the existing fence is, so.
Yeah, what is it usually, 5 feet?
Outbuildings are required to be 10 feet from any other structure and 5 feet from any property line.
Correct.
They have approved variances. They will require gutters and downspouts to keep the water on your property. That's just a standard thing the Board of Adjustment does. The deadline was actually this past Friday, and that's why I say if we can get the application in the office tomorrow, we may be able to get you on the November meeting.
Okay.
So that you would actually attend that meeting before this one.
I think if you go through that first, let you know where you're standing, and if you have to you have to tweak your design. You might be able to do that and decide, do you want to do it? As far as the second floor, I mean, the concern I may have had is that this is not, no intent now or in the future to make this a living space. You mentioned having a small office or something up there to work because you work from home, which I don't think would be a problem with that, but you don't intend this to be a living space at any time?
Not for me or as long as I have the property, no, it'd just be for a detached office.
Okay.
So I can get out of the house every day when I go to work.
John, that would also be another zoning thing that he would have to deal with, even if he wants to put a bathroom in this building in conjunction with his office. That would have to go to the Board of Adjustment as well, which can be heard at the same time next month if that's something you're interested in.
Okay.
So we need to table this one until next month to give Mr. Sumner an opportunity to check with the Board of Adjustment. So I will move that we table this to give Mr. Sumner an opportunity to go make application with the Board of Adjustments to see exactly where he may be able to place this and then adjust his drawings as necessary.
A second. All in favor? Opposed?
I have one little bit to say.
Yes.
Hey, Livy, you don't know me, but I know your mom. And I've been watching you grow up for years, and you're just as gorgeous as ever.
What do you say? She says thank you.
Like
Everyone knows
stranger
her mom.
danger.
All right, Paula mailed out minutes to the last meeting.
Hold on just a second.
Does anybody have any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Move to approve as written.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Is there any other business?
No, ma'am.
Just